With Hollywood icon Hedy Lamarr's birthday just around the corner on November 9th, today I want to celebrate her legacy and beautiful hairstyle with a special hair tutorial. With some old Hollywood styling techniques, I'll show you how to recreate Hedy Lamarr's glamorous 1940s hairstyle. To bring the style to life, I'll be following this Hedy Lamarr pin curl setting pattern that I will link below so you can follow along at home. Before we get started, I want to show you some of the hair products I recommend. To set the curls, you're going to want to have some kind of hair product. I like to use Lotta Body Setting Lotion. And to form the pin curls, I'm using the Pincurl sculpture tool. You can use large duckbill clips to hold your hair sections, and small ones to hold the pin curls, or of course bobby pins. I always recommend sleeping in a hairnet and using a curl-friendly hairbrush. For a pomade, I like to use American Crew to help with the frizz. Of course, you can use whatever products you have on hand. For the hair preparation, I'm beginning on mostly dry but freshly washed hair that has been parted down the center. Grab your rat tail comb and we're going to start forming our hair sections, about halfway down the back of your hair parting. Create a nice big square where our first rows of pin curls will go. Depending on how much hair you have, your sections might need to be bigger or smaller. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side using our rat tail comb to section off the back of the hair for later. Separating the top bang section where we're going to make our first rows of pin curls. Securing the back with a duckbill clip. Now you should be left with the first two hair sections. Divide that first hair section in half, and then in half again. Notice how this section's a little too wide for my hair roller, so I'm going to remove a small piece. Applying a mist of setting lotion and combing through thoroughly before wrapping the hair around the curler. This handy blue tool helps me create very uniform and smooth pin curls. Of course, you can use your fingers. I just always prefer to use this tool. Rolling all the way up to the base before carefully removing the curler and inserting a duckbill clip. Try to maintain the curl in its upright position. And we're going to repeat this step quite a few more times. I'm forming my pin curls working back to front so that I don't have to lean over any curls that I've already formed and mess them up. For the top hair sections, I'm using these double prong pin curl clips. You can use pin curl clips of any kind or bobby pins. I just find that these double prong clips work really well for the stand-up pin curls. The pin curls on the other side of the hair parting should be a mirror of the ones we've already created. For the best possible results, you want to keep the hair as smooth as possible and try not to let any of the hairs slip around on the roller. Pinning the curls in place nice and secure. And trying to remember to keep them uniform in size. With our first set of 4 pin curls completed, we can now see how that pattern is going to continue all along the base of the hairline. Now you can continue these rows by forming your next set of 4 pin curls. The rest of these front pin curls are going to be in the stand-up position until we get to behind the ear. Of course, the overall amount of pin curls that you require is going to depend on how much hair you have, how thick it is, how long it is, and what texture your hair is. Now we're going to tackle doing the back of our head. I've sectioned off just the bottom row where I'm going to create my first area of pin curls. These are going to be standard lie flat pin curls, and you can choose which direction you want them all to face. Basically, you want to keep forming that row that you've already created in the front and continue it along the back of your hairline. I decided to follow the direction that the curl was already going at the level of my ear. Pin curling the back of your head can be very difficult. I always recommend having a mirror in the front and then a mirror behind you so you can see what's going on back there. If pin curling the back of your head is a little too tricky, you can always use rollers. In fact, you could use rollers for this entire setting pattern, and I'll link my recommendation below. This is the section of my hair where I have the most, so sometimes I have to kind of pile the pin curls on top of each other, trying to keep the crown of the hair flat. Towards the end, you might want to go through and redo any pin curls that seem loose or like they might fall out. Give ample time to dry and secure with a hairnet or a scarf overnight. This is my 9-year-old Pooch Winston, who is going to check and make sure my pin curls are dry before I remove any of the clips. With his approval, we can go ahead and get started. My pin curl sets usually take one night to dry, but if you have longer hair or really thick hair, you might want to use a hair dryer to top it off. Once you're certain that everything is dry, you can begin removing your pin curl clips very carefully so you don't rip out any hair. For the brush out, we're going to start with a little bit of finger combing just to loosen those curls at the bottom. Grab your pomade and apply a small amount to your fingers before combing it through the hair. Apply sparse amounts of pomade to the hair to help prevent frizz and to help maintain the style, although a little bit of frizz is going to happen naturally. Now you can grab your hairbrush and start brushing and fluffing the hair from the bottom. This is a style that we're going to have to work with our hands and brush out the hair a lot before we can get the results that we want. For the brush out, I'm using the Denman 7-row styling brush. I think it's a great hairbrush for recreating vintage styles, especially when you're brushing through curls and you don't want to tear out a bunch of your hair. It is plastic, so that's why it's nice to apply a little bit of that pomade before working with the hairbrush to prevent static. As we brush out the hair, I am going to start to push it back away from my face and try to build up the shape that we want. Don't be surprised if brushing out this hairstyle takes quite a long time. That's totally normal, especially if you have a lot of hair or if your hair holds on to curl. You definitely want to give yourself enough time to brush out the hair thoroughly, unless you want to wear the style significantly curly on the first day. This is a great hair setting pattern if you're looking to wear a more brushed out style the next day because the curls are going to hold beautifully. But I'm going to keep on brushing until we get to a more relaxed look. As we brush out the hair, we should notice some waves forming at the top, with lots of curl and fluff at the base, and in the back, the top should remain quite flat with only curls forming that halo shape. Of course, anyone can try out this pin curl setting pattern, but for the most authentic results, you want to have mid-length hair cut in a rounded horseshoe-like shape. And keep in mind Hedy Lamarr's hair texture and type. She did have naturally curly hair. Now that we've worked through the hair significantly, we can move on to the styling part of the video. Another hairstyling tool I like to use is the Sporenet teasing brush. This one has more boar-like bristle brushes and is great for smoothing the top of the hair. Since I noticed in some photos her hair was relatively smooth and flat compared to others, depending on what time in her career the photo was taken. So during the styling process, you can definitely get creative, adapting the hairstyle for what works for you best. Using your hands, push the hair into the position of the wave, adding duckbill clips where you want to hold it in place. It may take you a few times before you get the exact shape you're looking for. I had a hard time deciding where exactly I wanted the waves to sit based off of different photos I'd seen of Hedy Lamarr. I ended up kind of repositioning as I went and smoothing it a little bit more to my face. You can use longer duckbill clips to hold larger hair sections in place, pushing that wave towards your face. And please enjoy this brief cameo from my husband, Dylan. Another hairstyling tip that can come in handy is using the end of your rat tail comb to position the hair and to soften the edges of the hair as well. After you apply your duckbill clips, be sure to let them sit for a few minutes to let them form the shape that you're looking for. After removing the duckbill clips, now we're going to style the hair even further using our hands and fine-tuning to get the shape that we want. If your curls have relaxed too much or you prefer a shorter hairstyle, you can use your hands to reform and gather them up together. And if you're noticing you've developed a little bit more frizz, you can certainly add more pomade where it's needed. And if you notice your waves are starting to fall, you can always reposition them by tying a ribbon around your head. To retain the style to the next day, be sure to sleep with a hair ribbon overnight with your hairnet. If you prefer a look that's a little bit more coiffed and sculpted, you can always secure pieces with a bobby pin. Especially if you plan on having a really active day or maybe you're going dancing or to an event. I'm combing the hair and pushing it slightly behind my ear and securing with a hidden bobby pin. This could also be a great trick if you have longer hair because it'll bring the hair up, adding to that halo effect. My hair is a little bit shorter, so it definitely changed the overall look, but I still think it maintains that Hedy Lamarr glamour. And I also feel like it pays homage to Walt Disney's first princess, Snow White, who some say was inspired by Hedy Lamarr's iconic beauty. To bring this style to life, I'm wearing a vintage 1940s dress, and the colors definitely remind me of Snow White with the yellow and blue, not to mention the swishy fun skirt. Whether you wear the style short and sweet or you continue to brush it out into a long fluffy style, I hope you enjoyed this hair tutorial and you'll come back for my next video.